What's up everybody, I'm Jeremy from WeldTec Designs and we have a really fun video for you today. We've never done one of these videos. This is going to be the first time. So make sure you guys comment below, tell me if it is a yay or nay. And also I would love to hear if you have done any of the additions that are on this RV. And what are we talking about is this is a Ford E450. This is a 31-foot Jayhawk Graco, all the modifications that are done to it. We're gonna start off with the front suspension, go from there, and if you have any questions at any point during this video, please leave a comment. I'll be happy to answer your questions and give you this is all my opinion. This is just my craziness. This is what I do. I give you my craziness here at WeldTec Designs. So as we get into the front of this RV, one reason that it's here, obviously, guys, is these things sit really low. Another reason why we see a lot of these RVs is really people just aren't happy with the way they drive and they want a better driving RV, which is understandable. You just spent a lot of money on an RV and you want it to drive, as well as the RV looks. So let's jump into this RV and talk about some of the upgrades that are done to it. I will make sure to leave all the part numbers of these upgrades in the comment or in the description below. So if you're looking to do any of these upgrades, let us help you out. So the first upgrade that I want to talk about that is done in this is going to be the Roadmaster sway bar in there. Usually I'll see two different types of sway bars between like a Hellwig and the Roadmaster. This is going to be the first one in here. So these things are definitely not cheap, and the price of this is going to be a whopping, we'll put that up right here, so that way we're going to do a tally on all of the upgrades done in this particular RV. The next thing the customer did to this RV is they added the Roadmaster steering stabilizer. Now, a lot of people like this particular steering stabilizer because it does have the spring in it, which tends to help it self-center. I know that that's a big issue with a lot of these RVs is you just feel like the steering is kind of all over the place. All right, so now another big upgrade that we want to talk about is going to be the Bilstein shocks. We know that shocks are a very crucial part in getting any RV to really ride nice. On this particular one, I would definitely encourage you, if you haven't and you're looking for an inexpensive upgrade, the Bilstein shocks are going to give you the most bang for your buck, in my opinion. I really like the Bilstein products, and there is some, the price point is really nice. Now I'm going to tell you the downfall of a Bilstein over a King or a Fox is that these shocks are not going to be rebuildable, as a King or Fox shocks is rebuildable. So you might get a little bit more life out of it if you ever have something go wrong with it. It's not really just a throwaway part. You can actually rebuild it and actually do some other stuff to it, which is a big improvement. All right, so the fourth upgrade that they did on the front of this is going to be, it looks like the Sumo Spring bump stop. And I can just tell by looking at this particular vehicle has been riding on there the whole time. The downfall of that is you're just losing a lot of your up travel that you're going to have. It's constantly going to be putting pressure on this. It's kind of more of a cheat or a band-aid, in my opinion, than it is like a true fix. But these are going to be the 4 upgrades that this particular customer has done on the front of this RV, and not to mention all of the prices of the parts, but also having them all installed can add up to a little bit of money. So let's jump to the back of this RV and talk about what has been done to the rear of this. All right guys, so welcome to the back of your RV. So as we jump in here, we're going to notice the first thing that has been done to this is going to be this Hellwig helper springs. So this is 3 springs that have been added to this leaf pack in order to attempt to help support the weight of this. However, never a good thing. And as we notice, these springs, they do have a giant wave to them. Never good, because we have no load on this. And the biggest thing is, as soon as you do have a load on this, this whole spring ends up going negative, never really working the correct way that they're intended to do. However, it's getting your RV to sit at a really nice low height. I don't know if that's really a good thing or a bad thing, but that's going to be the first thing that they did to the rear of this to help improve the ride. So the second upgrade that has been done to the rear of this is going to be this giant sway bar as well. So this appears to be like another Roadmaster sway bar. Usually the Hellwig sway bars will have a hammered textured paint to them. So I'm going to say that this is probably the Roadmaster sway bar. Really big in diameter. It's going to be about 1.25 inches to almost 1.5 inches in diameter. And really this is intended to help the rear sway of your RV. Now the reason that we're trying to fix the rear sway of the RV is because really these leaf springs are just completely overloaded. And these things are not cheap as well, at coming in at a cost of like this much. There it is, this much. All right, the next thing they did here in the back of this is a Bilstein shocks. We've already talked about the Bilstein shocks. They're definitely something that are nice to put on there. You can see these have been on here a little while, but a good upgrade for most stock RVs. All right guys, so the next thing they've added to this RV is a set of sumo springs. So I've never particularly had a set of sumo springs on my RV. If you've put a set of sumo springs on your RV, I would love to know what you think about them, and did it make an improvement on the rear of your RV? All right, the last thing that they've added to the rear of this is going to be this Super Steer Panhard bar to the back of this. Unfortunately, this bar will not work with the kit that we're going to be putting in it. And the reason I want to do this is to show you really the difference between all of these different add-ons that you do to try to make your RV suspension drive nicer. All in all, like, is it a win or is it a fail? Ultimately, it will be the question to ask the customer if they can tell the difference. But I just want you guys to know, you know, a lot of people do all of these add-ons trying to make their RV ride nicer, when really maybe if they just started with a WeldTec Designs kit in the beginning, they would have saved themselves a lot of money and a lot of headache and really getting to enjoy their RV much more. Part 2 of this video, guys. So today's video, we are talking all about RV. So we showed you all the stuff that was done to this RV before it came here, which was a ton of parts. So now let's talk about what we have done here at WeldTec Designs on this video. So this is our lift kit that we do on the RVs. This is going to be a 6-inch lift kit. So the benefit in this lift kit is we're gonna give you a lot more ground clearance, because even with this lift kit, they've put the wheels on there, and I still even drag the wheels with the lift kit on. I can only imagine what this was like before there was any lift kit on it. It had to be really, really bad. So we have a ton of ground clearance on this, and that is one big thing. This does have the stabilizer jacks on the front of it. So these were really low to the ground, about 4 inches off of the ground. So that would be another problem, is potentially tearing those off of your RV, which is going to never be a good thing, especially when you get to your favorite campground, campsite, boondock out in the middle of nowhere, and you don't have a leveling jack. That is never a good thing. So, and look at that, another beautiful 4-inch one if he gets it. Just another RV, another happy RV customer leaving. As we jump into this, this is a ton more height on this. You can see this, and as well as look at all the clearance now that we have underneath this jack, which is really key. You know, we're getting this RV up. Well, ground clearance is great, but I know the next big thing is saying, there's no way if I lift my RV 6 inches, it's gonna just drive even worse. It's gonna feel top heavy. It's gonna feel like it's gonna wanna roll over going around a corner. And I'm gonna have to tell you that most of these things are all false. I feel like you're gonna feel a lot more stable in this RV with the new suspension, because of all the components that we're putting on there. Combining all of those components together just makes the ride really, really nice. So let's jump into all the parts and pieces that we've put into this kit, and maybe I guess I'm gonna let you guys decide what you think. Of course, if you guys have questions, please comment down below, and I will be happy to answer any of this stuff that you may want to know more about. Let's go. So let's talk about the parts that we put in here now. So first, what we did is we do have our big giant modified I-beams in here. Behind the modified I-beams are going to be our extended radius arms. What's nice about those extended radius arms is we're able to cheat the suspension forward more. So when you want to run a larger tires, you're not going to have issues with your tire rubbing on the back of your wheel well, and giving you just a lot more clearance. The next thing is we did put a new set of coils in, and then a set of Fox shocks in here as well, getting rid of the Bilsteins just because they're not going to be long enough with the new lift kit. And that's a big question that people ask is, well, I already have the Bilstein shocks, can I keep them in there with the lift kit? And unfortunately, no, you cannot keep them in there. However, what we were able to keep is we did keep the sway bar on here. It does take some modification, in order to keep that. And then we also did keep the Roadmaster steering stabilizer on here. Now typically on most of these kits we will run our Fox steering stabilizer on there as well, but you do have the ability to keep this if you've already invested the money in it. However, I know that our Fox steering stabilizer is going to come in less expensive, and I really like them better. So, you know, that's my 2 cents on this front end. One other thing, we did keep the Sumo springs in there. We'll let the owner take them out if they decide. However, they're never going to come in contact with the radius arm and I-beam anymore unless they pretty much go jump this thing to head to the back. All right, so we talked about all the front suspension components that we did with this 6-inch WeldTec Designs lift kit. Now let's talk about all the rear components that we have added to this RV as well. And again, this is a Jayco Greyhawk, and this RV is coming in at 32 feet. It's a big, big RV, weighing almost 10,000 pounds in the back of this. So as you look in here, you can see that we've added a giant pair of springs to the rear of this to get all of the height out of it. We're also increasing the load carrying capacity of the springs to match what the RV is. Now that's a key component right there, because the majority of these RVs, when they are built, 99.99%, one set of springs go in the back of these RVs. Well, that RV, that chassis could get either, hold on, this could be the boss. Oh, hold on, this is Field Vans calling. Yes, sir. I'm just hoping for some amazing news. All right, so where were we? Back to business, guys. You know, we're so busy around here right now. We are building 2 vehicles for SEMA, and if you don't know anything about what I'm talking about, I'll make sure I put up a card here. Check out all the craziness that we do once a year for the SEMA show. It is the largest car show in the world. It's craziness, so check that out. So anyways, now as we get into the back of this, we're talking about the leaf springs. That's where I was at. So it doesn't matter whether you're a U-Haul truck, a 24-foot RV, or a 30-foot RV, you're pretty much getting the same leaf springs in the back of all these RVs. Now, I will tell you what a lot of manufacturers do is they add add-a-leafs. A lot of them, we see the Hellwig sway bars, or you get these sumo springs in there, all to try to prop these things up. Another big thing that people use in a lot of these coaches is going to be an airbag. Now, you know that I'm against airbags because I feel that they are used in the wrong reason. Airbags are great if you need to give yourself some height because you are towing, because you are adding weight to it. An airbag is not necessarily intended to use all the time to get your RV to sit higher. To me, that is not the correct way to do it. And of course, that's my 2 cents. You can take it or leave it. So in the back of this, we added the springs to the back of it. The next thing we've done is we've also added the Fox shocks in the back to really control the ride, and that's going to be really key. Again, guys, we're not able to keep those Bilstein shocks, unfortunately. We do have to go to a new shock because of the increased height in there. The next thing that is in here, we did leave the sumo springs in here. However, they are never going to come in contact with the leaf pack, and I would just remove them and sell them because I know that they are not cheap. And then the last thing is we did keep the sway bar in the back as well because, I mean, it still works. However, it's one of those things that with the new springs in there, it's not necessary. And in 90% of the coaches that do our lift kit, we are not upgrading the sway bar in the front or in the rear. So that's another thing that could potentially save you money. Another thing is this did have the panhard bar in the rear. We had to remove that as well, as that is no longer needed. But that pretty much wraps up the whole back part of this. You can see as I can stick my giant melon in here. There's all kinds of room in here. And if you decide you wanted to go to a bigger tire, you have the ability to do that. And on a lot of these kits, when we do a 6-inch RV lift kit, we are running a 235/85/16, keeping the stock wheels on there. Now this has a beautiful set of Alcoa wheels that just look great. Another thing that we do is a blackout package where we will black out all the hubcaps on there. It is a lesser expensive than doing like a whole wheel and tire set. But that's a lot. I hope this video was very informative, kind of talking about all the things that you can do to modify your your RV versus what we're doing here at WeldTec Designs. And now what we're going to do is kind of jump into a cost analysis, showing you the two lift kits and all of the parts involved in this. If you guys have any questions, I know that this video was kind of long. Definitely thank you for hanging out here. Make sure you guys head over to Growing Up Garage. That is WeldTec Designs' new foundation. We have a lot of really cool big things going to be happening over there. It's going to be really neat, and I would love for all of you guys to be a part of it. But anyways, that's all I have. I'm Jeremy Johnson from WeldTec Designs, and I will see you guys in the next video.